The woman who asked the question said the next day that she wound up voting for Barack Obama because after your emotional moment, she said that, quote, you stiffened up and took on a political posture again, and said that some of us are right, some of us are wrong, some of us are ready, some of us are not. Do you believe that Barack Obama is ready to be president?
Look, this is up to the voters of our country to determine. But I want them to have accurate information about our respective records, what we've accomplished, the working that each of us have done when given a chance to serve. And I think it is relevant. I mean, we face huge problems at home and around the world. Nobody can diminish those. And the next president is going to walk into that Oval Office on day one having to end the war in Iraq, having to deal with what's happening in Afghanistan, the Middle East, and across the world, dealing with our tough problems from the economy going south to 47 million people uninsured. And I think we're going to need a president who has really prepared and thought about what to do on that very first day. That is, you know, that is my case.
But is Barack Obama ready to be?
That is up for voters to decide, Tim. You know, you can ask that question of him. Voters can ask that question, but that's what I want. I thought the campaign really started at the debate in New Hampshire. For the first time, we really had a debate that compared and contrasted our records. When Senator Obama was asked, what is your major accomplishment in the Senate? He said it was passing ethics reform and getting legislators to be prohibited from having lunch with lobbyists. And then, you know, Charlie Gibson said, well, wait a minute, you can have lunch if you're standing up, not if you're sitting down. So if that's his main claim for legislative accomplishment, people deserve to know that. And finally, in New Hampshire, we had an atmosphere where tough questions were asked and answered. I answered hundreds and hundreds of questions, saw thousands and thousands of people. And I think that the results really speak to what people are hungry for. They want to get beyond, you know, just the coverage of the campaign to really understand what motivates us, what we bring to this campaign, and what we will do as president.
If you don't think Senator Obama is ready to be president, then he wouldn't be ready for vice president.
Well, you know, I'm not, you're once again taking words I didn't say. I'm asking people to compare and contrast our records. I believe that we need a president ready on day one. I'm putting forth my qualifications, my experience, my 35 years of proven, tested leadership, sometimes, as you well know, you know, walking through the fires, being prepared to take on whatever the Republicans send our way. I want people to make an informed decision. Look, I trust voters. Voters decide on whatever basis they think is important to them. I just want them to have a full range of information to make that decision.
We had the event in New Hampshire, the so-called emotional event. When I did the debate with Rick Lazio with you in Buffalo in 2000, Mr. Lazio walked over to your podium and asked you to sign a document to ban soft money, and people said that he had violated your space. One of your campaign advisors said he was menacing. After the Philadelphia debate, your campaign said that the men were piling on, which led some women, commentators, writers, to say this, Maureen Dowd. If the gender game worked when Rick Lazio muscled into her space, why shouldn't it work when Obama and Edwards muster some mettle? If she could become a senator by playing the victim, surely she can become president by playing the victim now. Ruth Marcus, Washington Post. Hillary Clinton doesn't need to play the woman as victim card. Using gender this way is a setback.
Well, you know, I don't think that either of us should use gender. I don't think this campaign is about gender, and I sure hope it's not about race. It needs to be about the individuals each of us is running for the highest position, the most difficult job in the world. And, you know, I am, I think, very clearly someone who's gone through a tremendous amount of criticism. You know, that's fine. I'm more than willing to shoulder that. I think voters and viewers can draw their own conclusions when they watch whatever it is that we are doing. And I believe that, you know, for me, this is about who is ready on day one. And much of what I've gone through in my entire life is, I believe, preparation for being able to go into that Oval Office. Clearly, I bring the experiences of women as a daughter, as a mother, as a wife, as a sister. That is who I am. Those experiences are part of me. And it is part of our American journey that we have moved through so much of what used to hold people back because of gender, because of race. Are we there yet? Is the journey over? I don't think so, and I don't think any fair person would say that. So we still have to overcome barriers and obstacles. And the very fact that Barack and I are in this campaign, each of us having won one of the first 2 contests, being prepared to take our case to the country, I think will do more to put to rest so many of these old shibboleths and all of the, kind of commentary and punditry. Just look at us as individuals. Take us as to who we are, analyze our records, compare and contrast us, and then let the American people make their own decision.
Let me turn to Iraq. You brought it up. President Bush had talked to General Petraeus the other day. General Petraeus is to report back to Congress in March. If General Petraeus says the surge is working, that reconciliation started in a big way yesterday when the Iraqi parliament said that former members of the Saddam government can participate in the new government, don't pull 30,000 troops out now. Keep them there for at least the remainder of the year. Would you be open to that?
No, and here's why, Tim. The surge was certainly explained and rationalized as giving the Iraqi government space and time to make the hard decisions that they needed to make. 2007 was the deadliest year for American troops. And, from my perspective, part of the reason that the Iraqis are doing anything is because they see this election happening, and they know they don't have much time, that the blank check that George Bush gave them is about to be torn up. I have said that as soon as I become president, I will ask the Joint Chiefs, the Secretary of Defense, my security advisors, to give me a plan to begin withdrawing our troops within 60 days. The reason I have to do that is because last spring, I asked for a briefing on what the planning was. Secretary of Defense and the Department of Defense basically said, we're not going to tell you. And I said, well, yes, you are. We had such a briefing. It was classified. I can't talk about it. But the bottom line is it was cursory. I don't think that the Bush White House wants there to be much planning. So starting on day 1 of my presidency, we will begin that planning. We will begin to withdraw our troops within 60 days. I think we can take out 1 to 2 brigades a month. At the same time, I will put increasing pressure on the Iraqi government. I will engage in a full diplomatic effort to work with the countries in the region and others who have an interest in the stability of Iraq. But, Tim, I think that the large part of the reason that we're seeing the Iraqi government do anything is because time is running out. And yes, I believe President Bush will give them the rest of this year no matter what we try to do, and we don't have the votes to reverse course. But as of January 20th, 2009, we will begin to bring our troops out of Iraq. Therefore, I certainly believe it's in the interests of the Iraqi government and the people of Iraq that a lot of this reconciliation that I've been calling for going back 4 or 5 years start and actually get implemented now.